For the second straight year, the Division I Men's Basketball Committee gave a preview of its top 16 teams as of mid-February, released on Sunday. With that in mind, you're looking at FS1's college basketball bracket expert Howie Schwab's latest bracket. He has slated 4 Big Ten teams, including Purdue, Michigan State, Michigan, and Ohio State, all top 5 seeds in their respective regions. And we welcome Howie Schwab in now from Los Angeles in our FS1 studios. Per the NCAA reveal on Sunday, and per your bracket, Michigan State is the 3 seed. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't. Michigan State, according to the committee, is the 11th best team in the country. Well, I'm sorry. Are there 10 better teams in the country than Michigan State? I don't think so. No way. When I look at Michigan State, bottom line, beat Purdue, beat North Carolina, beat Notre Dame when Bonzie Colson was healthy. Isn't that resume better than a resume that best wins are 2 against SMU, 1 against Houston, and 1 against UCLA? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to rip Mick Cronin. I like Cincinnati a lot. They're a good team. But they're a 2 seed and Michigan State's a 3. I'd flip them, to be honest. In fact, I thought Michigan State could have been a legit candidate to be a 1 seed. But the committee has spoken, and we got to live with it. We'll see if that holds up. I have a feeling it will not hold up. I think if Michigan State goes on a run down the stretch, Michigan State will climb even further to either a 2 or a 1.
And to your point, Michigan State is seemingly peaking at the right time. So how high potentially could this Michigan State team jump come the real standings?
Depending on what other teams do, Michigan State could be a 1 seed. I honestly believe if they win the Big Ten tournament and play well down the stretch, I think they have a legit shot to be a 1 seed if you reevaluate what they've done this year. I understand there have been some games where they didn't look great. Even the Iowa game recently, I mean, that game was a little scary. They're down 7 in the second half. But bottom line with Michigan State, I really see them as being an upper echelon team, very capable of winning the national championship.
How about a team like Purdue, who, despite losing to Michigan State over the weekend, got the 1 seed in the West? How promising is that, do you think, for the Boilermakers in terms of that holding up?
Well, Purdue's a veteran club, and I think the experience factor will be big come tournament time. I know Robbie likes that. Purdue, to me, the losses to Ohio State and Michigan State, there's no shame in that. Those are 2 quality teams. Early in the season, they had a couple of bumps in the road, the Western Kentucky game, the Tennessee game, fine. But when you look at the resume, wins like Arizona and Louisville, they've been impressive, Purdue, and I really like their team. I think that Matt Painter's done a super job with the squad. I'm not upset at all with them being a 1 seed. I'm fine. I could have seen them as a 1 or a 2, and that would have been fine. There's a lot of basketball left, and it may come down to who wins in the Big Ten tournament to get a 1 seed.
On that topic, Ohio State could be one of those contenders. Who would have thought that at the beginning of the season? But they were one of the first Big Ten teams to knock off Purdue. So if the Ohio State Buckeyes win out the regular season in the Big Ten, how high potentially could they climb?
Well, first of all, Chris Holtmann has to be a candidate for Coach of the Year nationally, right up there with the likes of the Bruce Pearls and the Rick Barneses and Chris Beard. There are so many good candidates this year. Great stories, because when you look at Ohio State, they were picked 9th in the preseason poll in the Big Ten. Then again, Tennessee was picked 13th out of 14 in the SEC. Auburn was picked 9th. I mean, it's incredible, some of these stories this year. But Ohio State, what Holtmann has done coming in late and done a great, great job. I mean, to me, Ohio State should have been a little higher than the committee ranked them. I think they've done a lot when you look at the Michigan State game, etc., the Purdue game. I think Ohio State has potential to climb up further, too. If they can, again, it comes down to those 3 teams, Michigan State, Purdue, Ohio State. Any of those 3 can move way up. Can Ohio State get to a 1? I don't think so. I think the highest they can go is probably a 2. But right now, I think the Buckeye fans would be pretty happy with that, considering the expectations going into the season.
How about a team you had in your first 4 out? Since losing to the Buckeyes, Nebraska has won 6 straight, making their argument to make it into the NCAA tournament. What are their chances if they continue to put together wins in this season?
Well, I think the key is they have to keep winning. They really cannot afford to stumble because their schedule is not that difficult. But when I look at it, back in January, they lost to Penn State. And at that point, I was like, forget it. They have very little shot. What have they done since? 8 wins, 1 loss. The 1 loss, Ohio State by 5 in Columbus. I think Nebraska's playing good basketball, but the schedule has not really been favorable. And I know the point of not playing some of these tough teams in Lincoln actually hurts them a little bit, because if they had won...
All right. Howie got cut off. You're still going, Howie. Sorry about that.
Sorry, Michelle.
That's all right.
I just keep yapping. What can I say?
It caught us all off guard. Continue on with your point with Nebraska.
Well, Nebraska's playing good basketball right now. I mean, they're hot. They got 20 wins. But if you look at the overall strength of schedule, it's a little shaky. The funny thing is they lost early in the season to St. John's, and suddenly that loss doesn't look that bad when St. John's beat both Duke and Villanova. I had to get a St. John's plug in. It's my alma mater. But bottom line with Nebraska, I think they have potential to sneak in. A lot's going to also depend on some of those teams near the bottom of the bracket. If they stumble a little bit, I mean, I'll give you an example. Virginia Tech tonight, I have being right on the bubble, probably in right now. If Virginia Tech beats Duke, and the resume includes beating Duke, North Carolina, NC State, Notre Dame, Virginia Tech would be in. So Nebraska's got to kind of root against some of these teams that are really close. It's going to be fascinating. It's a great time of year. March Madness is super, and we're going to have a lot of fun. And the Big Ten starts early with the tournament, really early this year. And that's going to be fascinating, too, to see how these teams respond after the tournament in the NCAA tournament.
All right, Howie, great stuff. Thanks so much for the time. I'll tell your friend Andy Katz you said hello. We appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks, Michelle. Great to be with you.